As we said, social media makes it a lot harder to tell fact from fiction these days, making it even more important that we do our homework. Easier said than done, but Stephanie Leyden shows us one school helping its students now so they can make informed decisions in the future.
Each group is going to get a news story.
Here at Andover High School, Mary Robb has been teaching a civics class called Media Literacy and Democracy for 15 years.
And you know ways to go and check out that source, remember?
This year, she added something new to the curriculum, fake news.
Anyone can post anything at any time, and it could be picked up and considered legitimate information.
She says the rise and power of fake news means the skills kids learn in this class are more crucial than ever. She spent much of this year's presidential election monitoring the media, sorting fact from fiction.
It was hard. It was really hard. I feel like each day I had to come in and share with my students, okay, so this story came out, but let's look at it. Let's see how accurate it is.
You might think teens who've grown up navigating a world of information are already expert in all things media, but they'll tell you fake news looks a lot like the real thing.
On the website, there was one news story, and it looked like a local newspaper, and it even had the local weather. But the one news story was FBI agents suspected in Hillary email leaks found dead in apartment murder-suicide.
The story, as Lydia Rankin discovered, was made up, and in the months before the election, went viral.
I was able to vote this year, and if I hadn't taken this class, I think a lot of my decisions would have been based off social media.
So how do these kids figure out what's legitimate and what's not? For starters, they pay careful attention to words.
Some word choice was dismaying, inability, ill-informed, shocked, and duped.
And they're on the lookout for obvious red flags.
Literally, right there, it says, spread this everywhere.
Yeah.
Miriam Rad found that a story claiming paid protesters were bussed into an anti-Trump rally in Austin, Texas, started with a single tweet.
He only had 40 followers, and by using a couple hashtags, he was able to generate a giant following.
It turns out those buses had nothing to do with the protest.
A couple days after, Mr. Trump also tweeted out about it and called it unfair, even though it wasn't happening. And that's a little iffy because we don't know what to believe anymore.
There is a debate about whether Facebook and other social media sites should filter out fake news. But even if they do, Mary Robb says we'll still need to approach content critically.
Every single person has their own bias. How do we guarantee that what they're choosing to show or not show is really what we need to know? So I think it's vital for everybody to have media literacy skills, to be able to navigate the sea of news information.
Stephanie Leyden joins me now. Can I sign up for that class, or am I too old?
Fascinating class.
For those watching saying, we're making too much out of this, this is not that big a problem. You're familiar with the Stanford study. I talked about it last week.
Yeah.
Fill people in on some of the details of this thing.
They talked about it in this class, actually,
they did?
which was kind of interesting. But I think that one of the big takeaways was more than 80% of middle schoolers don't know the difference between an article that's in a newspaper and paid content. And these are kids who spend a lot of time, probably not that much time with old-fashioned newspapers, but sure do spend a lot of time on their devices.
So how do they react, whether it's kids in this classroom or beyond this, getting to that 80% a minute ago, when they realize they've been, for lack of a better expression, duped?
Yeah, that's what the teacher, Mary Robb, said. A lot of them do. They have the sense of betrayal. It's like, boy, why didn't someone tell us about this stuff earlier? And media literacy, by the way, getting a lot of attention now because of the fake news, but it also encompasses things like advertisements, movies, the kind of media these kids have been ingesting their whole lives.
Well, especially since they're so tech savvy, as you said a couple of minutes ago. It's really true. So this is a fabulous program. It's clearly needed. Is this going to be replicated in other parts of the state, or is this a one-and-done kind of deal?
This is a course that was developed at Andover High School by this specific teacher. There is an effort to get media literacy into schools across Massachusetts. Across the state, there's a group called Media Literacy Now who is sponsoring legislation. We'll see where it goes. They've done this in previous years as well.
That would make it available to every school district?
Yeah, not a mandate, but really a starting point to get people together to figure out how do we incorporate this. Maybe it's incorporating into existing subjects. But their feeling is that in a digital age, to be literate means you need to be media literate.
That's my feeling, too. It's a great report. Stephanie, it's great to see you.